For decades, the Rust Belt became America's cautionary tale. If a factory closed, it was probably in the Rust Belt. If a city lost thousands of jobs, it was probably in the Rust Belt. If people were leaving in search of better opportunities, there was a good chance they were leaving the Rust Belt. The name itself sounded like defeat. Rust Belt. It brings to mind abandoned warehouses, empty factories, broken windows, cities that had seen better days. For years, that image dominated television, newspapers and documentaries. An entire region was reduced to a single story. A story of decline. But here's what's interesting. That story is becoming increasingly outdated. Because while much of America has been focused on booming Sun Belt cities like Austin, Nashville and Phoenix, something quieter has been happening hundreds of miles to the north. Factories are reopening. Downtowns are filling again. Technology companies are investing. Manufacturing jobs are returning. Young professionals are beginning to look twice at cities they once ignored. No, the Rust Belt isn't suddenly becoming Silicon Valley. And not every city is experiencing the same success. Some communities are still facing enormous challenges. But that's exactly why this story deserves a closer look. Because something has changed. The region that millions of Americans once left behind is beginning to attract attention again. The question is, why now? To answer that, we need to understand what the Rust Belt actually is. It isn't a state. It isn't even an official region. Instead, it's a collection of cities stretching across parts of states like Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Indiana, Illinois and Western New York. Cities like Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Detroit, Buffalo, Toledo, Akron, Youngstown. For much of the 20th century, these places powered America. Steel from Pittsburgh built skyscrapers. Cars from Detroit transformed transportation. Rubber from Akron kept those cars moving. Factories across Ohio, Indiana and Illinois produced everything from machinery to household appliances. The region wasn't just important. It was essential. Entire communities were built around manufacturing. A factory wasn't simply where you worked. It paid for your home. It supported local restaurants. It funded schools through taxes. It sponsored youth sports teams. One successful factory often supported thousands of lives beyond its own employees. That's why these cities grew so quickly. Detroit became one of America's largest cities. Cleveland ranked among the country's biggest industrial centers. Buffalo thrived thanks to its location on the Great Lakes and the Erie Canal. People moved from across America and around the world looking for opportunity. For a while, the system seemed unstoppable. Then, it wasn't. Beginning in the second half of the 20th century, several powerful forces collided. Manufacturing became increasingly automated. Some companies relocated production elsewhere. Global competition intensified. Consumer industries evolved. None of these changes happened overnight. But together, they fundamentally changed the region. Factories closed. Jobs disappeared. Families moved away. Neighborhoods emptied. Cities that had spent generations growing suddenly began shrinking. Detroit lost more than 1 million residents from its peak. Cleveland's population declined dramatically. Buffalo saw decades of population loss. Entire streets changed. Schools closed. Local businesses struggled. The economic ripple effects lasted for generations. It wasn't just about unemployment. It was about confidence. When enough people leave, something else leaves too. Optimism. People stop asking, what could this city become? They start asking, should I leave too? That's perhaps the hardest part of decline. It changes expectations. For years, many Americans simply assumed the Rust Belt's best days were over. Politicians debated solutions. Economists wrote reports. Developers announced ambitious plans. Yet the national perception barely changed. The Rust Belt remained the Rust Belt. End of story. Except, it wasn't the end. Because while headlines focused on decline, something else was quietly happening. Universities continued producing talented graduates. Hospitals expanded. Research centers grew. Old industrial buildings found new uses. Small businesses began moving into neighborhoods that had once been overlooked. The changes were easy to miss because they happened gradually. One renovated warehouse. One technology startup. One new employer. One restored historic district. Individually, none seemed significant. Together, they began creating something much larger. And then another shift arrived. One that nobody could have predicted a generation earlier. Suddenly, the qualities that once made the Rust Belt seem old-fashioned, started becoming advantages. Affordable housing. Established infrastructure. Large industrial sites. Skilled manufacturing workers. World-class universities. Reliable transport networks. These weren't relics anymore. They were assets. Especially as companies began rethinking where they wanted to invest. Especially as millions of Americans started questioning whether the country's most expensive cities were still worth the cost. It turns out, places that had spent decades waiting for another chance, were perfectly positioned when that chance finally arrived. And nowhere demonstrates that transformation more clearly than one city that was once considered the ultimate symbol of industrial decline. A city that is quietly proving the Rust Belt's comeback might be more than just a hopeful headline. It might already be happening. That city is Pittsburgh. For years, Pittsburgh became shorthand for everything that had gone wrong in industrial America. Steel mills closed. Thousands of jobs disappeared. The city's population fell dramatically from its peak. If you had visited during the worst years of the transition, you might have assumed there was no way back. Many people did. But Pittsburgh made one decision that would quietly change its future. It stopped trying to become the Pittsburgh of the past. Instead, it started building the Pittsburgh of the future. The city's world-class universities became the foundation of that transformation. Carnegie Mellon University became one of the global leaders in robotics and artificial intelligence. The University of Pittsburgh expanded its influence in medicine and scientific research. Instead of producing steel, the city increasingly produced ideas. Researchers. Engineers. Entrepreneurs. Healthcare became one of the region's biggest employers. Technology companies followed. Autonomous vehicle research arrived. Robotics firms opened offices. Medical innovation accelerated. Today, it's entirely possible to spend a day in Pittsburgh surrounded by industries that barely existed when the steel mills dominated the skyline. Yet somehow, the city has managed to keep much of its historic character. Old brick neighborhoods. Iconic bridges. Historic markets. Beautiful parks. They're still there. The difference is that they're now surrounded by an economy that looks very different from the one that built them. Pittsburgh isn't pretending the past never happened. It's using that history as the foundation for something new. And that's a pattern that appears across much of the Rust Belt. Take Cleveland. For decades, national attention often focused on what Cleveland had lost. But far less attention was paid to what it still had. The Cleveland Clinic had quietly become one of the world's leading healthcare institutions. Universities continued educating skilled graduates. The city's location on Lake Erie remained a major logistical advantage. Manufacturing never completely disappeared. It evolved. Today's factories often look nothing like the ones people imagine. Instead of endless assembly lines producing millions of identical products, many now specialize in advanced manufacturing. Precision engineering. Medical equipment. Aerospace components. Industrial technology. These industries require highly skilled workers. Modern machinery. Advanced software. Research partnerships. The stereotype of manufacturing as dirty, repetitive work doesn't always match reality anymore. In many cases, today's manufacturing facilities resemble laboratories more than the factories of the 1950s. That shift has helped parts of the Rust Belt remain competitive. Because while labor-intensive production moved elsewhere, specialized manufacturing often stayed. Or returned. Then there's Detroit. Perhaps no American city symbolized industrial decline more than Detroit. Its population fell dramatically. Entire neighborhoods struggled. Images of abandoned buildings spread around the world. They became the city's identity. But that's only one chapter of Detroit's story. The automotive industry never disappeared. It modernized. Major manufacturers continue investing billions into electric vehicles. Battery technology. Autonomous driving systems. Research and development. Meanwhile, parts of downtown Detroit have seen remarkable investment. Historic buildings have been restored. New apartments have opened. Sports venues attract millions of visitors each year. Technology companies have expanded their presence. the city still faces significant challenges. No serious discussion should ignore that. Some neighborhoods continue struggling with poverty and disinvestment. The recovery hasn't reached everyone equally. But that's exactly why simple headlines rarely tell the whole story. Detroit isn't either failing or succeeding. It's doing both at the same time. Some areas are improving rapidly. Others still need enormous investment. The same is true across much of the Rust Belt. That's why describing the region as either back or finished misses the point completely. The comeback isn't happening everywhere. It's happening selectively. Cities that invested in education, healthcare, technology, infrastructure, downtown revitalization, and advanced manufacturing have generally adapted more successfully than those relying on a single industry. But perhaps the biggest reason for renewed optimism isn't inside the cities themselves. It's happening across America. Over the past several years, companies have begun rethinking where they manufacture products. Global supply chains suddenly looked far more fragile than many businesses had assumed. Shipping delays exposed weaknesses. Geopolitical tensions created uncertainty. Suddenly, producing everything thousands of miles away didn't seem quite as attractive. Companies started asking a different question. What if we made more things closer to home? That single question created an opportunity the Rust Belt had been waiting decades for. Because unlike many rapidly growing regions, the Rust Belt already had something incredibly valuable. Industrial land, rail connections, highways, ports, power infrastructure, and perhaps most importantly, people who understood manufacturing. Skills don't disappear overnight. Many communities continued training engineers, machinists, welders and technicians even during difficult years. Now, those skills are becoming valuable once again. And that raises an even bigger question. If America's industrial heartland is beginning to find its footing again, could the Rust Belt's next chapter end up looking stronger than anyone expected? The answer may already be unfolding in cities that most Americans still think of through the lens of the past. There's one mistake people often make when they talk about the Rust Belt. They imagine it's trying to become what it used to be. Rows of giant steel mills. Endless assembly lines. Millions of identical factory jobs. But that's not what's happening. The Rust Belt isn't rebuilding the 20th century. It's building something entirely different. In many ways, the region is becoming a blend of old and new. Manufacturing still matters. But today's manufacturing looks very different from the industries that once defined the region. Walk into a modern factory producing electric vehicle batteries, aerospace components or precision medical equipment, and you probably won't see thousands of workers standing shoulder to shoulder. Instead, you'll see robotics, automation, computer-controlled machinery, engineers monitoring production from digital control rooms, technicians maintaining equipment that would have looked like science fiction just a few decades ago. That's one reason companies are investing again. Modern manufacturing depends less on finding the cheapest labor, and more on finding the right workforce. Places with skilled workers. Reliable infrastructure. Strong universities. Access to suppliers. Efficient transport. The Rust Belt has spent generations building exactly those things. For years, many companies overlooked those advantages. Today, they're becoming difficult to ignore. Federal investment has also played an important role. Recent efforts to strengthen domestic manufacturing, expand semiconductor production and encourage investment in advanced industries have directed billions of dollars toward projects across parts of the Midwest and Great Lakes region. States like Ohio, Michigan and New York have announced major investments in battery plants, semiconductor facilities and advanced manufacturing. Each new factory creates more than jobs inside its own walls. Construction companies benefit. Local restaurants gain customers. Small businesses see more demand. Housing markets strengthen. Community colleges expand training programs. The ripple effects spread through entire regions. It's remarkably similar to what happened during America's original industrial boom. Only this time, the industries look very different. But perhaps the biggest surprise isn't the factories. It's the people. For decades, young graduates often believed success meant leaving. Leaving Cleveland. Leaving Buffalo. Leaving Pittsburgh. Leaving Detroit. Moving somewhere warmer. Somewhere faster. Somewhere everyone else wanted to be. That mindset is beginning to shift. Not completely, but noticeably. More graduates are choosing to stay. Some are returning after working elsewhere. Others are discovering these cities for the first time. Why? Because the definition of success has changed. 20 years ago, living in one of America's most expensive cities often seemed like proof you'd made it. Today, many people ask a different question. What kind of life can I actually build here? A six-figure salary sounds impressive. Until most of it disappears into housing costs. A prestigious address feels exciting. Until you realize you can't afford the lifestyle you imagine. Meanwhile, someone earning less in Pittsburgh or Cincinnati may own a home. Walk to local cafes. Spend weekends in nearby parks. Travel more often. Save for retirement. The comparison isn't just about income anymore. It's about what that income allows you to do. That's one reason the Rust Belt has become increasingly attractive. It offers something that has become surprisingly difficult to find. Value. Not everywhere. Not in every neighborhood. And certainly not without challenges. But enough to make people take another look. Of course, the comeback isn't guaranteed. Many cities still face serious obstacles. Some neighborhoods continue struggling with poverty. Others need significant infrastructure improvements. Population loss hasn't completely stopped everywhere. Some downtowns remain filled with vacant buildings waiting for investment. Climate change also presents new opportunities and new risks. Some experts believe access to freshwater from the Great Lakes could become an increasingly valuable advantage over the coming decades. Others point out that older infrastructure will require billions of dollars in upgrades. The future isn't predetermined. And that's important to remember. Because the phrase Rust Belt comeback can sometimes make it sound as though every problem has been solved. It hasn't. Recovery is uneven. Some cities are moving faster than others. Some industries are growing more rapidly than others. Success isn't guaranteed simply because investment has returned. But perhaps that's what makes this story so remarkable. A decade ago, many people weren't asking whether the Rust Belt would recover. They were asking whether it had any future at all. Today, the conversation has changed. Instead of asking, can these cities survive? People are increasingly asking, which city will grow the fastest? Which region will attract the next major investment? Which downtown will reinvent itself next? That's an extraordinary shift. Because perception shapes reality. When investors believe a city has a future, they invest. When businesses believe talented workers want to live somewhere, they expand. When families believe a community offers opportunity, they move. Momentum creates momentum. And after decades of being written off, the Rust Belt is beginning to build exactly that. So, is the Rust Belt making a comeback? The evidence suggests, yes. Not because it has erased its past. Not because every city has recovered. But because the region has stopped trying to recreate what it once was. Instead, it's embracing what it can become. A place where advanced manufacturing meets world-class research. Where historic industrial cities become centers of healthcare, robotics and technology. Where affordability still offers opportunities that many of America's most expensive regions no longer can. For generations, the Rust Belt built America. Today, it may be quietly helping build America's future once again. The comeback isn't complete. It probably never will be. Because cities are never finished changing. But for the first time in decades, the Rust Belt is no longer just a story about what was lost. It's becoming a story about what's possible.